Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of LTBT Talk. Today is May 23rd, a Tuesday, and this episode is brought to you by El Cajon Harley Davidson. It's motorcycle season, everybody. The sun is out. Head over to El Cajon Harley and get yourself a motorcycle. Do not sleep. Get yourself on some two wheels. El Cajon Harley, my favorite motorcycle dealer in America. Been sponsoring this podcast for 1 year. They've got everything. This shop is a one-stop motorcycle shop. Head in there, maybe get a used bike, a new bike. Sturgis is coming up. You're gonna need some service on your machine. They got an excellent service department. Maybe get some new rubber on your bike. Get some rubber. Maybe some brake pads, whatever. Get that bike serviced if it's been sitting in the garage all winter. I don't know why you'd do that. Ride in the rain, biker. Anyway, El Cajon Harley, man, these guys are great. My boy Greg Riley will set you up. They got an excellent selection of motor clothes. And every month now, they're doing bikes, babes, and bikinis barbecues on a Saturday. Check it out on their website. I think it's the first Saturday of each month, and that's awesome. And they got a killer ride coming up to the Petco Park. That's pretty badass. You can ride from El Cajon Harley to Petco with a group and go watch the Padres lose to the Giants. Yes, El Cajon Harley, they are the best. And a few of my friends have bought motorcycles there, and they always hit me up and say, dude, I'm so glad I bought there. Check them out, El Cajon Harley. Follow them on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All right, guys, so fresh back from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and got to do something pretty damn cool over the weekend. I got to perform at Rock on the Range, and right away I want to give a shout-out to Chad Zumach for setting me up with this email months ago on the Comedy Store patio. This is what I love about the Comedy Store patio and the comedy community. He was like, how come you're not doing all these rock events? And I was like, nobody ever hits me up. It's insane. I don't have a manager or an agent. I'm just floating around on the outside, hoping to get in. And he's like, well, here's an email. And I shot an email off, and the guy was like, oh, yeah. Oh, I've been wanting to get you a couple years. You're on. And it finally happened. So went out to the Rock on the Range, and I want to say something before I even get into it. You know, I realized it was weird because I was floating around that concert, and I was thinking, like, I had an all-access pass, and I was hanging out, you know. I talked to Kirk Hammett from Metallica, and then, you know, Les Claypool from Primus, and I'm just, like, sitting there like, wow, these guys. Here we are, three dudes from the Bay Area 100 years ago, and we're in Columbus, Ohio. That's so magical and special. And then, you know, meeting all kinds of different other people and bands and just other, you know, friends of comedy and everything. And I was enjoying the freedom of it and the love and just an amazing energy, man. And then we have this tragedy, you know, yesterday with these fucking lunatics that are just taking out innocent people, man. Innocent people, and it's just the evil of the world. And as I thought about it, you know, and it was funny because when Metallica rolled in, they put the venue, the backstage, kind of on a lockdown where our passes weren't good in certain areas. And I was talking to somebody about it, and I go, I get it, man. You know, over the years, starting back with, you know, Dimebag Darrell and all the way up to now, there's some fucking garbage garbage people out there, man. And, it's, to take out innocent people just going out and enjoying art is just fuck you, man. And it's gonna get worse and worse as far as the bands. You gotta be like nervous. But on the other hand, you gotta live your life, and you gotta be like, man, they're not gonna fucking win. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna enjoy it. And if something bad happens, well, I can't be locked in my house and afraid. But fuck those people. Keep your eyes open, people. You see something weird, immediately, say something. And it's just horrible. My heart goes out to the families and everybody that lost a loved one. And it's man, fuck, I just can't imagine. And it's tragic. Just fucking horrible. I don't know what else to say. I hope you guys are doing good this week. And yeah, man. Well, I will give you a little rundown of my weekend while I was there. I flew in on a Saturday, Columbus, Ohio, and it was the venues. It's a giant soccer stadium, and they had some weather issues. Which, when I live in California, I don't think about weather. It's so fucking weird. I don't think about a lot of things because I've been here so long. I don't think about people, different people in different areas. Like, as far as like my material, like I hit the stage on Sunday and opened with a cocaine bit, and the crowd just like they were like, whoa. And I gotta tell you, it was a little rough for about 10 minutes. Yeah, maybe about 7 minutes. I stayed in it like, nah, man, I believe in this bit and it's funny. But and here I am at a heavy metal show, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'll open with this cocaine bit and they'll laugh, and they were not having it. So it's funny to think about different people's taste and different weather and different parts of the planet. It's just so you just forget. Even though I've traveled all my life, I don't really take it in. But my point is, the weather, man, they just had fucking. It would be totally nice, and then all of a sudden, a giant cloud would roll over, and it'd just be lightning out of nowhere. And I guess a guy got hit by lightning a couple of years ago out there, a fireman, Like, lightning is no joke, It is radical when you see some real lightning. Like, I've seen some, little pussy lightning here in California, but I remember being out in a monsoon, like riding to Sturgis, and had to hit underneath an overpass for a while, man. It was just an electric storm. To see that kind of stuff, the power of nature it's pretty radical. Anyway, so they'd have these lightning lockdowns at this venue, and half the Friday and Saturday shows didn't really happen because of crazy weather. They would do these postponements for 2-3 hours, and then people go out to their cars or under these shelters and then come back in. It was an interesting dynamic at a festival. Think about the 70s. They would have never done that, right? Just no lawsuits or anything. It's just rock and roll. Big old bolt of lightning comes down. A dude's like, whoa, dude, that almost hit me. Fucking crazy. Anyway, by Sunday, I was on the Sunday day, which was Metallica, Volbeat, Pretty Reckless. Who else was on there? Primus, Rival Sons, Zach Sabbath, which, by the way, and I've been saying this over and over the years, Zach Wild, I guess he quit drinking a few years ago, and this guy's fucking playing is at another level right now. It is at another level. This guy was destroying him, Blasco, and Joey C, just murdering these Sabbath classic tunes. And Zach knew his own guitars, which is a genius move. You know, when you're a guy that big, why would you endorse a company like Gibson or Fender once you get to that level? You know, what great thinking. Like, I'm going to endorse my own amp and my own guitar and have people, you know, get into this stuff that I'm making that's handmade, which is fucking cool because these days an artist needs to find a nickel anywhere they can. And what better way to do that than just to play your own stuff? And man, his stuff is cool. He had this SG. It had like fucking horns that looked a little bit like a knife. It was really in the tone. Like I said before, about a year ago when I saw Zach Sabbath at the Viper Room, his tone is ridiculous. And he's really chilled out on that wow, wow. Remember that Zach squeal? He used to do that all the time, which was cool. It was his signature thing. But after a while, you're like, okay, I got it. The Zach squeal. He doesn't really do that now, at least not in the Sabbath material. He just fucking smokes it. Said hello to me. It was cool. I hadn't seen him in years. And then Joey C and Blasco, it was great to talk to them. It was a fantastic day. Like I said, it felt a lot of love out there. But one of the greatest things of the day was to spend an entire day with the Rival Sons. And, you know, I've been shouting out Rival Sons for 4 years now, and I'm not over here like tooting my horn or whatever. I just was so blown away by how great their music was when I first heard it that I really felt that I needed to actually kind of nonstop talk about it, because it would be a crime for this band not to get to a massive platform. And so, yeah, I talked about them for years, and I'm still talking about them. But about, I don't know, 6 months ago, I kind of ledged off and was promoting some other bands because you got to get word out on other bands. And recently, like a week ago, I knew I was going to see Rival Sons, so I fired back up the records again. And I've come to the conclusion that these guys are like in the top 10 for me. And they're a newer band, which is pretty insane to be in the top 10 as a newer band. But the body of work, they're a newer band, not with one record. They've already got more records than all the bands in the 80s, you know, like Guns N' Roses and all these bands that were out in the 80s. They've already got more records than all of them. You know, they've got, 4 or 5 records now. Pressure and Time, Head Down, Great Western Valkyrie, Hollow Bones. Then they've got that first EP. And what's great about this band is, you know, I go through phases like, oh no, Head Down's the record for me. Head Down. I tell everybody that all year. But today I was listening to Great Western Valkyrie at the gym, and I was like, nah, this is the fucking record, you know? And 6 months from now, it could be back to Pressure and Time or Hollow Bones, whatever. The great thing is tons of fucking music from these guys. Amazing lyrics, great tone, great album covers, amazing rock show live, all live. No tapes going on, no phony background vocals, no wallet chains, you know, that the fashion person showed up and said, put this on. Just 100% real rock and roll. And, you know, that is very rare, and we get into it today as I sat down with Jay Buchanan again. After 4 years from our first conversation, it felt so good to hang out with this guy and the other guys. They were just, you know, I'm waiting for this band to get so big that they blow me off. I'm waiting for that. That's what I'm waiting for. They're like, oh, yeah. the Metallica level of like, oh, yeah, sorry, dude, place on lockdown. But I'm Del Rey, man. Nah, sorry, dude. I'm waiting for that. Anyway, it was great to talk to Jay, and I realized these guys deserve all the great prizes that rock and roll should bring them. You know, they're just great people. You're going to love this interview. Before I do get into it, a little shout out to Roger Moore. We lost him today. He was my James Bond, 100%, 73 to 85. That's right when I was getting into James Bond. I remember the first time seeing Bond in the theater. I was like, wow. I was obsessed with Bond, and Roger Moore is the reason I'm into Rolex watches. I'm into Rossignol skis. I'm into exotic sports cars. It was all because of the Roger Moore era Bond. I worshiped that Lotus Esprit when it turned into a submarine. I bought these toys at the toy store that were like, I remember they were like big money. I had a paper route and I saved up. They were made of cast metal. And, they made one of the Lotus Esprit submarine car, and it shot the missiles out. You could press this button and the fins would come out. And then I also bought the Aston Martin from the Sean Connery era, and you could press a button and the dude would pop out of the sunroof. Those are probably worth crazy money now, and I wish I had them. I'll probably go down that eBay rabbit hole one day like, where are those? I got to get them. Anyway, Roger Moore was my Bond, and of course I do love the new Bond. He is fantastic because it's dark and gangster. But growing up Bond, that whole era with Jaws, that crazy fucker Jaws, and all that stuff, He lived a great life, though. He lived a long, long life, and he was an excellent, excellent Bond. And I remember for years there was just that battle. No way, Sean Connery. No way, Roger Moore. And, you know what I mean? It's so funny back then to actually think how simple life was, that you battled over who your Bond was. A couple more things, and then we'll get into it. I've got some great shows coming up. I hope to see you guys at them. Let's see what is happening. I will be with Joey Diaz at the Brea Improv June 8th through the 10th. Then I hit Minnesota House of Comedy, headlining June 14th through the 18th. Then Boston at Nick's Comedy Stop, one night only, June 29th. Get tickets immediately. Then I will be at the stand for a lot of July. Check it out also July 14th, 15th with Bill Burr in Grand Rapids at, I think it's called The Church. Then Toronto, this just in, me, Sam Tripoli, Ian Edwards, and Brian Redband will be in Toronto 27, 28, 29. We're doing the Queen Elizabeth Theater, I believe it is. I love all you guys. This episode is brought to you by my great rock and roll sponsor, the one and only Earthquaker Devices. You need a stomp box. If you're a musician and you listen to this podcast, you know you don't want to have shitty gear. You got to get a handmade pedal from Earthquaker Devices, made right out there in Akron, Ohio. They've got all kinds of fucking cool sounds. And, Rival's son, Scott, my boy Scott, uses some awesome pedals, and I'm sure he's got some Earthquakers in there because, he is a pedal king. I looked down, he had 2 pedal boards. I want to see a guy one day just have a whole stage of pedal boards. That would be awesome. Just all the way across, just fucking stomp boxes everywhere. And the singer, everybody just be jumping on the stomp boxes for a fucking psychedelic trip. Earthquakerdevices.com. Follow them on Instagram and check out their fantastic demonstrations of the pedals done from all kinds of people that actually use the pedals. All your favorite bands, I guarantee, use some Earthquaker Devices. Also, if you guys live wherever you live, check your local listings. This Thursday, I'm going to see that Grateful Dead documentary, and I'm sure it's playing one day in everybody's theater around America. I'm going to see it Thursday, that Grateful Dead documentary. I think it's called Long String Trip, and I cannot wait for that. I love you guys. Stay safe, and keep your eyes open. Keep the candles lit. Here he is, Jay Buchanan. All right, here we are, another episode of LTBT Talk, and this is a special guest here because it's been 4 years since I talked to this man, and a lot has changed. Welcome him to the show, Mr. Jay Buchanan from Rival Sons. How are you?
I'm very good, Dean.
Unbelievable to see you.
It's really good to see you too, man.
It's so funny how life has changed, you know? Because here it's like 4 years later, and we're in Columbus, Ohio. I'm doing comedy.
Yeah.
And you've got fucking 3 records out since I've talked to you.
That's right, man.
That's incredible. Here's what's changed.
All right.
You used to live in Long Beach.
I lived in Long Beach forever.
And now what, Texas?
No, I moved out to Tennessee.
Tennessee?
Yeah, I'm down in Franklin, and it's just south of Nashville.
Wow.
So it's like, it's on the peripheral, and it's quiet. And, for my daughter, the schools are good, and... it's pretty quiet. I dig it out there.
Did you, when you're on tour, a lot of times when I'm on tour doing comedy, I hit a city and something hits me, you know?
Yeah, that's how it went. I think that when you tour as much as we do, first of all, in the United States, like I'm sure you've been to I've been to every state,
yep.
Every major city in every.
I've been everywhere but Alaska.
I've been to Alaska.
Yeah.
And I've played in Anchorage and done that whole like backpacking young man, go out there and like find yourself thing. And so I've been everywhere, and man, you end up falling in love, or you put a pin in it. Like you go down to Austin and you go like, man, I think when you're sitting there in like Barton Springs, right?
Yeah.
You're going swimming and everybody's chilled out, going, man, I think I really could live in Austin. You forget that you drive 20 miles in every direction and you're in Texas.
Yeah.
Man, I don't think I could do Austin, And it's kind of the same way in Nashville too, but not so much. Nashville's actually pretty liberal. It's the buckle of the Bible Belt, but it's Music City. It's like the music capital of the world, and all of the best musicians and songwriters, that's where they live. And so I just thought, that's where I want to go. I dig the humidity, even coming from Long Beach.
Yeah.
I grew up on the foot of the high desert out in Wrightwood, but going out there, I really like how slow everybody takes it.
Yeah.
And it just resonated with me. And I've got so many friends, and our producer lives out here, and he's one of my best friends, and our families are together all the time. And that was really the big one. And my old drummer, Chris Powell, who's a big studio drummer, out in Nashville, and he lives out there. So I just moved a few blocks away from him because we grew up together.
It's the juxtapose of Nashville right now is incredible. I almost moved there like maybe 12 years ago. A lot of people don't know, but like I was just like lost. What am I going to do? And a guy was like, come out here and be a songwriter. I'm like, well, everybody's a songwriter out there. But there was some guys looking for some songs, and it's like maybe, but right now, like you've got like that whole thing of like your producers out there, you got all them witches out there, you've got Jack White and all that, and Alison Mosshart, the Kills, and then you've got the juxtapose of that full country machine, that thing. So, but you do in the middle of that have some of the best players and writers and complete music freaks out there.
It just feels good because I know Music Row down there off of 16th and that whole area where everybody's at, where all of the studios are and all the publishers. I know that there's a dark side of that, big time. Just like in LA or just like in New York, there's a real dark side to the whole music industry, and it's definitely there. That whole like you pick up a piece of fruit off the table and it's made of wax.
Yeah,
it's that same thing, and that pervades itself really strongly there. And I've already run into that a lot, but. What's really attractive is moving there. During the week, I'll go up and I'll write with people and write for other artists and just have fun, just writing music and being around more musicians that are in it for the kill, just for just lifelong. People that would be doing it whether they had success or not. That's those are the kind of people that I find myself hanging out with out there, and that's good company because that's the way it's always been for me since I was a kid, and it just seemed like the right place to be.
Yeah,
you know?
that's interesting too, because when I think back to when we first met, I was like, this guy's a lifer. There we were at that studio in Long Beach.
Yeah, the Compound Studio.
Yeah.
Thank you, Antoine.
And you were playing, before Rival Sons, kind of some, singer-songwriter stuff, which I'm a huge fan of. And I knew right away, I go, oh, well, this guy, even if he wasn't in Rival Sons, and Rival Sons was not big at the time, and still not big, but at the time it was Pressure and Time was out.
Right.
And it wasn't like, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I felt like, well, this guy, when we talked about music, when we talk about Frankie Miller and we talk about all that stuff, I was like, this guy's a lifer. And you can tell when you meet guys,
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's that something about...
Yeah.
You've cried a lot over this, haven't you?
Yeah. Or you've ran down big rabbit holes.
Exactly.
Of like, wow, fucking this guy.
Exactly. No. You talk about rabbit holes. It's that thing when you run into lifers, they got scratches all over their face, like the dogs that have been sticking their noses into the rabbit holes or the you know what I mean? Where you go like, oh man, that dog's seen something.
Yep. That's how I felt when I saw you.
Yeah.
Let's look back at that, man. It's been 4 years. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And it was like episode 30 or something. I'm on 354 now.
Wow. Congratulations,
Yeah, thanks,
man.
dude. But congrats to you, because look at what you've guys done since then. The Sabbath tour, the 3 records out since then, and a lot's changed, right?
A lot has changed. I mean...
New bass player?
We have a new bass player now, and he's been with us for close to 4 years, and... for our touring band, we bring out our bass player is Dave Beste, and he's a Long Beach guy, and it was a real easy and quick decision once
was he
our
just
last
floating
guy
out
left.
there? You knew him?
He used to play with Rocco DeLuca and the Burden, and we all came. I came up with Rocco, and Rocco did really well for a while, and then he was with our buddy Jameson, who's got a band called Mount Holly now, but he was in Jameson's solo band, tremendous. And we've brought Jameson out to open our European tours and everything. And so he was doing that, and our last guy, Robin, he had just had enough of the touring life. He had to split,
Yeah, that had to be like, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, holy shit, this is real.
You've seen it with people. Like, we had been out on the road for, 3 years by then. For 4 years, just constant. So you've seen people drop off that go, I can't do this, man.
Totally.
This is too crazy for me. And it was pretty much a snap decision for him, and he just had to split. And I was like, oh my God, he was my right hand. Like, what am I going to do?
Who's your main man?
He was my left hand. And, because bass, people really underrate bass as far as what the role that it plays. It's the bottom of the triad.
Yeah.
For the chord that the rest of the band is making, and it's so important in rock music.
Absolutely.
In rock and roll. People don't realize that. All the bass player jokes, but it's a crucial role, because that's the counterpart to Michael Miley, our drummer. For the drummer, the bass player is he's like the spinal fluid. He's like the nerve center. Because the drummer is your spine.
Yeah.
He keeps it steady, and the bass player is what makes it fluid.
It's the groove, man.
Yeah, that's the groove.
I mean, when you look at all that 70s soul, the R&B and stuff of like, Earth, Wind and Fire and Bootsy Collins,
all of it.
And Lakeside.
Even earlier, when you look at some of these Motown, and
of course,
you look at these James Jamerson bass lines, and you just listen to the bass, it's mind-boggling. Oh my God, how did he come up with that?
Yeah.
When there's all this other cool shit happening that's fantastic, and that really hooks your ear, but then you look, and once you listen to those tracks, when you just listen to the bass, you go like, oh man.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even realize how dope this song was.
It's crazy, right? I was just thinking about that recently. When I put on a record, I really love to listen to the rhythm section. And of course, a lot of people, they say no good drummer, no good band, but also no good bass player,
Absolutely.
Because then it's just all guitar. And after a while, you're just, there's no movement in your body,
Yeah, absolutely.
You need that soul.
That's a big one. You know, I talk to young musicians and everything, or if I meet drummers, or I always tell people you should start out on drums and piano.
Yep.
Understand the layout of music with piano, but understand rhythmically what's going on. So if you start your kid out on drums, they got to know what's going on. But if they're going to be a drummer, they have to find a bass player to play with. It's really healthy if they grow up with a guitar player, because there's a lot more guitar players. But that's going to teach them to play with guitar players, which has to be a really really important part of a drummer's catalog of what they can do. But they need to get somebody who they can really just groove out with, and a good bass player. Good bass players are really hard to find.
Yeah.
So anyways, Robin had to split, and then right away, within an hour, I called, or I talked to the band, Dave Bestie. We got to get Dave Bestie in here, and then we brought him on.
And everybody was on board. There was no auditions or anything. It was this is the guy?
We didn't audition. We didn't audition anyone. As soon as word got out, people started sending us submissions all over the place. But it was Dave's been family for years for me.
Yeah.
And when you're touring with people,
can't bring a stranger.
You got to get along. You know, and his chops, he's definitely he was the man for the job. It was really easy to see. So we did that, and then we brought on Todd Ogren Brooks for our live band, and because we wanted something to fill out the sound. Because my buddy, rest in peace, my buddy from Long Beach was Ike Owens. He had done all of the keyboard tracks on that record, and he had done all of those, and because he was out playing with Jack White, and he was touring all over the place, and then we lost him and down in Mexico.
I remember that. Yeah.
And so that was a real blow to the scene, and okay.
I didn't realize that was the same guy that played on your records.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Well, because we were from the same scene, and he happened to be out in Nashville while we were making the record. So he played on that record, and then we knew he was too busy with Jack, and so we brought Todd in, and Todd's just been great, as the sideman on our live circuit. So that's been fantastic. So a lot has changed.
Yeah.
We've been playing all over it's kind of like it's a new version of the same thing, because you're touring. Touring's touring.
Yep.
And the crowds get bigger. The opportunities get more lucrative, and the opportunities get larger, and you just seize them. I don't know.
Is there some money coming in finally? Because I always, since I played music all my life and stuff, I understand the game, and it's a way different landscape now. I couldn't even imagine,
I think money's just really hard to come by as a musician.
Yeah.
You don't make money, you don't make any bread selling records, because it's an intellectual property that people can get for free.
Yep.
And that's just the way it is. Or they can listen to it on Spotify. All of these streaming websites. It's a platform that works really well for the consumer, and it's a dream machine, really. When you look at it, think about being a kid, and you can listen to any track from any band that's ever been recorded at any time. That sounds like heaven. Yeah. That sounds like heaven. And now that's available to people. Now for us, I can't make money like that. If it were 25 years ago, I would be a very, very, very rich dude, and that would be nice.
Yeah.
But look at the benefit that the rest of the world gets. I still wouldn't trade it. Yeah. Even for myself, anytime. I can listen to anything. Anytime.
It's pretty crazy, right? Can you imagine being in the 7th grade, walking to school? I walked to school with that Walkman.
I'd never make it to school. Yeah. Because I'd go, I don't know. I think I want to listen to this. No, I think I want to. No, I'll start this on for a little bit. No, I think I want to listen to this one.
Yeah. It does give a little bit of ADD, though, to the listening, though, which is kind of a bummer. But I do love both. When I'm home, I refuse to listen to digital. It's strictly, I stand up, I put the vinyl on, and I listen to it.
Yeah, I've got my vinyl set up. Right. And I've been a record collector since, I guess, my late teens, Yep. And vinyls, that's like when I'm home. That's what I listen to when I'm at home. Right? When I'm out on the road, you can't bring your record collection with you. It's ridiculous. No. But that's like the sound of home. I think about my collection. And traveling so much, I'm always bolstering my collection. I'll come home with, 20 sides of vinyl. Yeah. And that's rare stuff that I can only get in these certain areas.
Yeah, man, I just found a record that I didn't even know existed, and fuck, it's in my phone now. But it was this dude that like played guitar and stuff for like he played some shit on Stones records and everything. Anyway, he did a record, and Rod Stewart sang on it. You know this?
Oh, really? No. What record are you talking about?
I'll turn you on to it. God, I gotta find it now. But so I was in Denver, which is a place I could live. By the way,
Yeah, Boulder specifically. Boulder's a great city.
Boulder is incredible. Python Lee Jackson.
Damn.
In a broken dream. So I'm in this record store, Black and Red. If you're ever in Denver, go there. It's great.
Black and Red.
Yeah. So,
it wasn't.
it's like
no. I was thinking of Black and Red Cafe in Portland.
This is Black and Red record store. Go there. It's like in the shitty strip mall outside of Denver, and you would love it. It's got like old rock, old R&B, and then memorabilia, and then like books and games. And just dudes in there that are like, here, you got to check this out.
Oh yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah. So I was with Marin on tour, and Mark goes, look at this weird record. I'm just buying it for the look. You know, the cover. And then we throw it on and we go, this guy's totally ripping Rod Stewart off, man. Listen to this. And then we read the liner notes and we go, holy fuck, it is Rod. Then we find out he played with the Stones. And then later, A$AP Rocky sampled some shit off this record. So it's got this long, like, pedigree, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love that about records, you know?
I love it too. And each time when you find something that none of your friends have turned you on to, you feel like it's your treasure.
Yeah.
And then you bring them to your house, or you can sit and you can talk to them like, hey, man, you need to check out this thing or this thing. And you really know that you're giving them the goods.
Yeah.
They're like, what? And you know that when they sit down and they listen to it and they have their experience with it,
yeah.
It's an interconnectivity that you get with your buddies.
It really is like when you and I talked about Frankie Miller.
Yeah,
like when somebody knows about that guy, I'm like, okay, now we're on board. You know what I mean? Because that is really the heart and soul of all those guys.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
You get into the Dead at all? I've been getting into the Dead like lately, dude.
With the Dead,
in the last couple of years, I'm nuts.
You know what? Because vocals are a really big one for me.
Yeah.
And vocalists, that's a real big one. I can definitely get into the Dead. The Dead is like an environment that's very unique, and you can get into that world, beyond like just regular albums like American Beauty or those like. The Dead is like the sound of a feeling to me, and it's a certain tone. So anytime it's on, I can definitely get into it. But for the most part, there's always so much going on.
Yeah,
I like things to be a little bit more stripped down. But no, I love the Grateful Dead. Like, who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, coming from singer-songwriter, to me, it's like Working Man's Dead was the only one I liked growing up. I was like, fuck all that hippie jam shit. Yeah. But then when I start really listening to it,
like Box of Rain, like there's so many great songs.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I was in Vienna, and we were getting ready to play in the oldest brewery in Vienna, and so we had a headlining gig on the last leg of the Teatro Fiasco in Europe. And during the day, I went out just walking the streets, and I was looking for the gym.
Yeah.
And so that I was looking for the gym and like scoping it out, and I went and got a cup of coffee, and then I ran across a thrift store, and it was like a secondhand store, and real huge place, bunch of old people running it, and they're all smoking cigarettes indoors, natural light, like there are no lights on.
Wow.
And it's in the afternoon, and so it's kind of dark, and there's like mink stoles everywhere and like lederhosen, but it's a really big place, really, really cool. And they had a record section that had some really, really tasty things. But anyways, so I'm alone, and the place is relatively empty, and way off to the side, there's a little room with like antique trinkets and whatever, but I hadn't been there yet. I could just smell hash.
Yeah.
Coming from way over there.
Love it.
And there was music playing. Then all of a sudden, Uncle John's band comes on.
Yeah.
And I was feeling kind of like hungover, like, and I'm looking around like, this is also weird. And then that song comes on, and I go, wait a second, I'm having a moment right now.
Yeah.
That song's playing. and I'm looking around and I go, I feel like I'm being hugged by somebody.
Yeah.
You know, like that Grateful Dead hug.
That's what that.
I know.
That's how it grabs you.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Like to me, it was almost spiritual. Like I grew up in the Bay Area, and I was like, "Fuck the Dead" all the time, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And then I had a chance to go see The Last Thing, Farewell Thee, you know. And me and Joey go, one of my best friends ever, and I realized, oh wow. I fucking get this.
Yeah.
And I got it at the end, which is weird.
And what a thing.
Yeah.
Because it happened to be, you know, all through high school and so many friends. Like, you know, like half of me is straight up hippie.
Yeah.
Completely.
Exactly.
You know, and
I smell the amber on you right now.
I got amber, patchouli. Like, I haven't worn deodorant in like forever.
Well,
I don't know.
That shit's Satan, man.
Yeah.
That's a fucking aluminum and all that.
No,
you get into that?
I'm not into it, man. I just wash up. You know, you don't got to do that. But no, the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
It is a very, very rich tapestry of true feeling.
I think by the next time we sit down again, you're gonna be there too.
Oh, we'll be sharing a spliff.
Well, you're gonna watch the new documentary coming out, and then you're gonna text me somewhere in the middle of the night, and you go, "Yeah, man." That's all it's gonna say. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I'm into it. What's going on with you? I've been at the same time, I've been hearing your name all over the place, Dean.
Well, fuck, man.
In the last 4 years?
Yeah, I feel like I'm the comedian version of Rival Sons.
All right.
Where I absolutely love what I'm doing, and I don't care about anything else except comedy.
Yeah.
And here I am 4 years later with you, and we're at Rock on the Range, and I don't think that's by an accident. I always say that when you're born, I feel like there's this map that was already laid out for you. And here I am crossing paths with you again, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is amazing because I've shouted out your band so much over the 4 years. And I feel like you guys we're the same age, or I'm older or whatever, but I feel like you guys are my kids. Like, yeah. Those are the dudes I've been fucking telling you about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's been really cool for me because, you know, I listen to podcasts a lot, and I listen to your podcast, and then I listen to Mark Maron's podcast.
Yeah.
And then I listen to Bill Burr with his rants, and I'll hear both of them talk about you, and I'll be like, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
you know,
it feels good, man. You know, like it's like, to me, going on tour with Burr or Maron, and this is no bullshit, is the equivalent of you guys going out with Sabbath.
Yeah.
You know, when you're talking about some of the best in the world being Sabbath or Maron or Burr, you know, when I think about that, I think about, fuck, I don't take this lightly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work my ass off, and I'm gonna bring it so they're proud. You know what I mean? And that's an amazing feeling, right? And I feel like, as hippie as this sounds, we're both on the same highways, side by side, in different businesses, but good things are happening. You know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're living in the A game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Right?
Like, it's A game all the time, or
you can't punch in.
Exactly.
Because the next guy is not punching in, and he steps on your back to get over here.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's how it is in rock and roll. And especially with rock and roll right now, it's so, you know, a lot of people say there's no, you know, no, rock and roll's dead. And it's like, no, this is how rock and roll was when we were growing up.
Yeah.
It was never mainstream.
I think that people, socially, they look for sound bites, and they look for these catchphrases that it feels comfortable to repeat as a topic of conversation. You know, like something like a great, you know, exclamation, rock and roll's dead.
Yeah.
I just said that. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Really? What the fuck do you know about rock and roll?
Yeah.
You know, and it was a big one because, like, Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
You know, he had his long diatribe. What the fuck does Gene Simmons know about rock and roll? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. I mean, you know, the essence of rock and roll is really what you're doing right now, or what I'm doing. And that is not working a job and living a life that you love to do, you know? And rock and roll could be building choppers. Rock and roll could be making leather jackets. Rock and roll could be building homes. Whatever, when you're not working for someone,
Yeah.
it's rock and roll. And that's how I feel. So if you say rock and roll, it's dead, that's so wrong. We're here, 30,000 people out here today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I was a kid and going to see my favorite bands, it was exactly the level Rival Sons was.
Yeah.
You know, when I went and saw fucking, let's just say, Soundgarden, you know, when I went and saw them at the Stone opening for Voivod, not once did I think, wait till these guys get to the arenas. It was that night, that minute,
Yeah, right.
and it was us and them. You know what I mean? And that's rock and roll.
I think that it's that, you know, it'll sound strange, but it's that knowledge while you're, like, every man has his toil, every woman has her toil. When you know what you want to do, you are that beast of burden, you know, and you put on your yoke and you go out and you plow the field because you know it needs to be done. And you know that is your MO. Your whole ethos is to get the job done to the very, very best of your ability. And I think you do it enough times, like trying to put in your, 10,000 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
To try to really understand where you can be more fluid in what you're doing. I think that's what everybody tries to do. Everybody who is in our tour that way.
Yeah.
You're trying to do that. And with rock and roll, there's always been a subversive nature to it. And I know that we've been the underdog, and we'll be the underdog until we don't have to be the underdog.
Right.
You know, and it's tough to imagine that we would never, we'd never be anything else.
Yeah.
You know, but I know that we're like a band's band.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and we're just going to keep doing this and keep putting out records.
It's funny.
You heard the people out there today.
Yeah.
Like, they get it. They got them. They're chanting rock and roll.
Hell yeah, man. And
Yeah,
it's
man.
funny because when you say the 10,000 hours, as your guitar rig went down today, Scott's rig went down for a few minutes. Imagine back to 6 years ago if that happens and you were here. You would have just been like, oh, what the fuck? And it would have just been scrambled. But all these years that you've put in and these hours, you look over and you go, yeah, man, that happened. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
right.
fucking
You look at
rock
it-
and roll.
And what happens? The guitar rig goes down. I look at the audience. I just turn around and I go back, take a sip of whiskey,
Yep.
take a sip of tea, go talk to Scott. Hey, what's going on, man? You want to get lunch after this? Or like, what are we doing? Is he almost done? Yeah, he's almost done. I don't know. What do you want? What do you feel like doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's just skip that song. Let's go to the next one. All right, that's cool. Let's do that.
What song was skipped? I wanted to know.
I think we skipped "Tied Up" off of this new record,
Yeah.
and I think that's what happened. But it's like, you can't afford to care.
No.
You know,
It's rock and roll.
The audience is there. They're a captive audience no matter what.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So you're there to do your thing, and
A lot of times I remember some of the greatest stuff. Like, remember when his guitar rig went down, caught on fire, and then the fucking singer just did a vocal solo out of nowhere, and you go,
Yeah.
I remember, I was there.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Rock on Range, man. His rig went down, but then they fucking came back with head down and knocked
Yeah.
my face off. You know what I mean? Like, that shit is, that shit you don't feel watching stuff on YouTube. You got to get the fuck out of the house.
well, yeah. There's a when you watch things on YouTube, and I experience so much on YouTube. Are you kidding me?
I love YouTube.
My God,
I love it.
I
but
feel
I'm
like
saying,
that's where I went to college. It's on YouTube.
I love YouTube, you know?
And, I get to experience and I get to catch your sets. I get to catch everybody's sets
Yeah.
on YouTube because I can't afford to be there. I don't have the time to experience these things. And so everybody that watches, you watch these bands, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same as being there, getting that like full auditory and emotional experience of being there and like,
Yeah. That's why I'm losing sleep lately over putting out this record and this special. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But in the first time in my whole life, I played music my whole life. I understand putting out records, and it's a different game, You know how it is. At the end of the mix, you go, well, there it is, and you walk away, and that was a moment in time. But with comedy, it's... there's with making a record, there's no audience in there unless it's a live record. So that's what it is. But with comedy, to me, I feel it's so like if you weren't there, you're not gonna get it. even if you're laughing at the record, it's not the same. Because I've been to some of the biggest specials being shot.
Yeah.
I've been to Louis C.K. specials. I've been to a few of my friends' specials. And I always go, it's great, but I was there, and it was monstrous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You know, to switch topics, I think there's a renaissance going on in comedy right now.
Oh, huge.
Do you feel that?
Huge.
You know,
Huge.
I love following stand-up, and
Yeah.
I feel like there's an intellect and a subversiveness that's coming back
Yeah.
really strong right now.
Well, when
and
you-
I'm really excited about it because
Oh,
that's a real barometer.
If you look at when comedy was big the last time, which is everybody calls this the second comedy boom. First one was in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Bad President, great comedy.
This feels more like the 70s, the subversive, countercultural
Right.
70s.
You're so right there with
You
the
know?
Cheech and Chong, with the Richard Pryor, the Carlin. And all
Richard
that.
Pryor, like when Carlin went dark,
Yeah.
you know? And that's what I feel is going on right now.
Yeah.
Like the coconut shell game that's happening on the
Yeah.
sidewalk, it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
And that bait and switch that happens, and I think that I'm loving more comics doing that because as I was saying, it's like it's a stand-up comedy. Stand-up is a very, very strong cultural barometer.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy to see all of this happening right now. You know?
Yeah. It's definitely the rock and roll.
Yeah.
Of you know, I mean, I feel more rock and roll doing comedy than I did in the last 10 years of my music career.
Yeah.
Because you know, as
You're out there without a net. You guys are
Yeah.
literally, you guys are straight up stuntman, Evil Knievel.
Yeah.
You're either going to see me not make it and fall into that lake of,
Yeah.
crocodiles,
Yeah.
or I'm going to clear the other side and you're going to cheer for me.
Exactly.
And it's that same sort of a thing.
Would you
I
ever
love
do
it.
comedy?
I think stand-up comedy is the that's like it's like my greatest fear in the world.
I think Scott
Ever.
could do it, right?
Scott, yeah, I'm sure.
Because
he's got the mouth for it. He's got the
Yeah.
bravado for it.
Yeah.
But for me, like, I love fucking around and making people laugh
Yeah.
when we're just talking.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing, and I love that, and I'll corn off all day long because I'm a clown. I'm
Yeah.
a total clown. But when it comes to being on stage, like the idea of being any kind of orator
Yeah.
is just, oh my God.
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
makes my dick shrink up into my stomach. I can't like. It's frightening. And in fact, when I first started out, I think when I came back from Alaska, and I think I was 21, I started going to like open mics and looking at it,
Really?
and really thinking like because it was literally my greatest fear.
That's
I
amazing.
think I might do this. And so I started writing bits.
Yeah.
down and thinking like, if I could get on stage and do that, I could do anything.
That's crazy. What year was that?
98.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you would have went that route, you know?
Well, I was conditioned from a young age. I had to do music.
Yeah, me
You
too.
know what I mean?
Me
Like
too.
I had to do music, and for me, the way that I was raised, like they brainwashed me since I could talk.
Yeah.
I have to sing. I got to write songs, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so for me, I wanted to do it because it was it was the polar opposite of everything that music meant to me up to then, because I've always been a singer-songwriter.
Right.
So I get on stage and I like to write about serious topics, serious thing, and the tone is serious.
Yeah.
So the idea of getting up there and making people laugh is literally the exact opposite.
But the tones are serious, though.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean?
Well, if you're really good at it.
Yeah, if you're really good at it. If you're not a clown. But if you listen to what Maron's saying, or if you listen to what Burr's saying, or if you listen to what Chris Rock's
Yeah.
saying, the tones are real.
Yeah.
And that is the most real a human can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and I just talked about this with Joe Rogan, was the better the comic, the more honest it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and vice versa. The
Yeah.
more honest you are, the better comic you are. But you have to be able to lay it all out on the stage.
Yeah.
And as you get better at comedy, you open up more and more. Like, am I going to let these people
Yeah.
know about my, 3 stepdads?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Exactly.
you
Well,
know?
no, yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally, like you saw the Nymphomaniac from Lars von Trier.
Right.
That's a comic's life.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You have to actually go there and put yourself against the wall and completely do, and there's something so intoxicating and admirable about all of that's just something I could never do that.
I mean, there's different kinds of comedy I enjoy. Like Andy Kaufman is like unbelievable to me.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I know that I would never do Andy Kaufman because, like I've said many times, when you see somebody doing that, you go, "Oh, he's just doing Kaufman." That's how fucking hardcore he had labeled the style.
Right. Yeah.
But there's the Jim Carreys I love. There's the Belushis. There's the Chris Farleys. They're not stand-ups, but they're comedy in a big bravado way.
Yeah. I feel like Dave Chappelle's got, he's got a lot of that. You don't realize. You think he's right-handed.
Yeah.
And then you find out he's left-handed at the end of the set.
Yeah.
Boom. Wow. Where'd that come from?
Yeah. Especially the new special at the Palladium.
Yeah. The Palladium. Yeah. The Palladium was really wow.
Wow. For him to do the whole bit, and I talked to Dave. I opened for Dave in December, and I recently saw him about 3 weeks ago. And the first thing I said to him, I said, "I realize you are one of the greatest writers of all time because you write comedy in a sketch form."
Exactly.
And you're not sure if it's real or not. So what I'm talking about is when he talks about the bit of going to the Academy Awards and then he closes, he has to, I'm not going to give away the bit because it's so good, but he closes with a callback to that. You realize he wrote the whole Academy Award thing, which is probably made up, to close with this fucking bit. And that is sketch thinking. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing of laying it out, like imagining him sitting there and laying it out and storyboarding.
Yeah.
In a linear sense and going, okay, the continuity has to be dead on.
It has
and when
to.
you get that, it isn't just fragmented.
Yeah.
It's that here's the continuity and it ties into here and it ties in there.
It's a total journey.
It creates a first, second, and third act in a set.
You're so right.
God, are you kidding me?
You're so right there, dude. And CK used to do it a lot. He doesn't do it as much, but when I first started watching CK, he was the reason I wanted to start
His
comedy.
last special was just...
Oh, it's great.
It was
great.
Yeah.
But there's a one back in the day where he does this bit about the awesome possum shirt.
Yeah.
And he starts with, I saw this guy in a coffee shop and, he's wearing an awesome possum shirt. And I've said this many times, but this used to be classic CK. He talks about the shirt for a minute and then takes you on the journey of buying stamps, a dude at Venice Beach in a Speedo, hugging his dick and balls.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he goes, so I'm standing in this coffee shop with the thing. And you go, oh, yeah. Hey, that's where this whole thing started.
Yeah.
And it's a callback, but not done in a cheesy callback way.
It's I liken it to the clear gel time release coating on the Tylenol. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To where you go out and psychologically you just took the pill.
Yeah.
But then you really feel it 25 minutes in.
Yeah, that's so great.
It's the segue.
I love that you watch comedy.
Yeah,
and because I started this show 5 years ago, and the initial idea of the show was I'm going to interview my rock star buddies. I played music all my life and went to comedy. The show was about, have you ever thought about doing comedy? Which is insane to think about. Here I am 350 episodes later, and I'm talking to comedy with you, because when I first met you, we didn't talk comedy at all.
Right, no, yeah.
Yeah, so it's so cool to hear,
I think stand-up comedy it plays a big role in my life because I'm always on the run. I'm always traveling. And for me, I like to fill my days like before our set. I got a pretty strict regimen.
Yeah.
Because the road life.
Run me through the day. What do you do?
Yeah, like the road life and the party lifestyle. Like it'll eat you alive.
Yeah.
You've seen it a million times, just like I have. And but for me, because of the way that I sing, I need to sleep like 10, 11 hours.
We talked about that.
Yeah, and that's the recovery time. That's what I need. And then as soon as I wake up. Drink a cup of coffee.
Yep.
Hopefully, take a dump, and then go running.
You go running. How far you run?
5 to 10 miles.
No shit.
Yeah.
And just whatever town you're in.
And whatever town I'm in. And I'll tell you this, Dean, it allows me and it affords me the bird's eye view. Or not the bird's eye view, because I'm not flying.
Yeah.
That's later in the night. It allows me. It allows me to see the town as a pedestrian.
Yeah.
And 5 to 10 miles of it.
And you learn about the people that live there.
I learn about the people, and I'm there, and I'll be listening to, your podcast, or I'll listen to Joe Rogan or Bill Burr.
That's so cool.
Or lectures, or just like whatever. Yeah. And so stand-up comedy, or listening to comics that way, it's like I feel like I have friends that are out there with me doing these things, because I'm alone, and who knows, fucking wherever, out in some town, and it might be a dangerous neighborhood or whatever, and I'm looking for a foot trail somewhere out where the real weirdos are.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going out there, and I'm just out there just trying to beat the shit out of myself, so that by the time we play that night, I'm not like all my facilities are totally intact.
Yeah.
And I'm not hung up on myself, So I do that, and then I'll come back, and then I'll do sound check, and then usually I'll have press for a while, and call home, and then I do like to do yoga, Ashtanga yoga, or any variation for about an hour.
Wow.
And then just before I get on stage, so my whole thing is beating the crap out of myself and just being completely empty. And
before you even go on.
Yeah. Like, I might have something to eat when I come back running, but I like to be totally empty and starving when I'm on stage.
Wow.
And so it's like because what I do is it's so extremely physical that I like to, that's like the whole Hollow Bones ethos, is to be on that verge of consciousness, is to be constantly on that verge of, like, you might pass out or just whatever, but it's like, this is what I do every day, so I'm not going to pass out. I'm going to be okay. This is what I do. But
vocal warm up?
No, I don't. No, I don't do any vocal warm ups.
Are you kidding me?
No, I've never been I don't warm up.
Wow.
My warm up is the day.
Wow. No vocal warm up.
No.
That's incredible.
No, I never have. I've never been a warm up guy. And
how's the voice sticking in? Because
yes,
it's pretty easy when you're on the Sabbath tour. I always tell people, you're out there,
I'm playing,
30.
and they do like one on, one off, and then we'll pepper that. We used to pepper those 13 months with our own headlining set. So we'd go from playing 90 minutes, to 2 hours or whatever, and then the next night play 35, 40 minutes.
And no in-ear monitors yet?
No in-ear monitors.
That's crazy.
In-ear monitors are really hard for me to get into. It feels like I'm wearing like 3 condoms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know I'm there and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but for some reason it doesn't feel the way it should feel.
Wow.
And so I avoid in-ear monitors for now.
Yeah.
But I've been doing it for a long time. My hearing's decent.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy. No warm-ups. Wild.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. It just never.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it stems from being backstage and not wanting people to hear me warm up.
Yeah.
Because when I was first starting out, and I'd be the opening act, and I'd hear these people warming up, and just thinking like, that's the most dickless thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, Morrison didn't warm up, man.
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
My job is to be myself, get out on stage, and be myself.
Yeah.
That's what my job is.
Right on.
And I say that, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I've never warmed up.
Yeah.
So next time you interview me,
there's Jay around. He's warming up.
A couple more years. Where's Jay? Hold on, Dean, I'm warming up. La la la.
Yeah, I hear you. It's funny when I get out on the road and do like the 5th hour of headlining. It's like you'll do 5 shows in a town and you do 1 hour, sometimes hour 20, 30, and by the fifth day I'm like,
an hour?
Yeah.
Oh my God, an hour set?
No, dude, like Burr and Marin and those guys, they'll do an hour and a half, 2 hours, man.
What do you do? Do you have, okay, look, you saw me today.
Yeah.
Where, okay, the guitar rig goes down, and you see me, and I drop the mic.
Yeah.
And then I walk over here. I go get a drink. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at the audience. And then I step back to the mic, and I look at people, and I see them out there, and then I don't say anything.
Yeah.
And I just look at them, and then I walk away from the mic again. You've got to have moments like that in an hour set, right?
You're not walking away from the mic, but what you are doing is, if it's a great show, I always say I probably got about an hour and a half in material. But if it's a great show, it's 2 hours in material. But if it's a bad show, it's 30 minutes in material, meaning you're burning through it with no laughs, you know?
Right.
And you start going like, oh no, I'm already at the fucking end and I'm 40 in, you know?
You know, okay, look, for stand-up,
Yeah.
what do you think? Because you're sitting there and you're out in front of all of those people and you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you have your set, you know, you have your tools.
Yep.
You know, so you're sitting in, it's like you're sitting in
my songs.
You're sitting in your garage
Yep.
and you need to tool this thing and you need to fix this motor that you're working on. What about when you can't find the right tool? What about when your tools, you know that it's somewhere.
Yeah.
Hold on, is it a 3/8? What about that? Sometimes it takes 5 minutes and you're ready to lose your shit. You can't find that. And like when you're in the garage, you're working on your bike.
Yeah.
And you're going like, where the fuck is it? Where is it? What do you do when you're on stage and that happens?
Your brain, I've done 3,640 shows or something like that. I count them. And you're talking tools. And I remember early on starting comedy, I got this Bill Hicks kind of 15, kind of his commandments. And I got it from the family at their at the documentary.
Oh yeah, another one of my favorites.
Right?
You talk about like the subversive counterculture.
Unbelievable. But one of the main commandments on there was the material is the last thing you use.
Yeah, right.
And when I started comedy, I was like, fuck that. That's so wrong. The material is the last thing you use. I didn't understand it. Mm-hmm. Now 7 years later, I go, oh, I get it now. Those are your bullets in your chamber.
Yeah.
But you don't shoot the gun until you need to shoot the gun.
Yeah, exactly. Like the guys that train in martial arts and all of that stuff. Like, what are you doing? That so you like if you get in a fight, in a street fight. No, I train like this so I don't have to fight.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah, right?
What?
So my thing is your tools are your body movements,
Yeah.
crowd work, and your bits.
Right.
And then the fourth one would be your knowledge of being on stage. Me, 35 years.
Yeah.
A lot of people discard that from me. You know, they'll be like, "Oh well, yeah, he just started, man," or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I may have just started stand up, but I've been on this stage 35 fucking years.
Yeah.
That's a ninja as far as stage.
Yeah.
You think I didn't play rock and have a guy go, "You guys suck"?
Yeah.
You think I didn't have rock and have the microphone go out? You think I didn't play rock and have the lighting rig go out? You think I didn't play rock and there was 6 people there? You think I didn't play rock and there was 30,000? What I'm saying is, all that is in my bag of tricks like you. And when that rig went down today, you just rolled on over and just fucking rocked with the keyboard player. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it is with stand-up. You've got all these tools and you've seen it. And it's down to that 10,000 hours things like we're talking about. It's like, I've seen this. Now, to say I don't have some fucking struggles every day. Like today, I'm doing a rock tent. I have never done a rock tent. Looking forward to this. I went on tour with Alice in Chains last year for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I knew it might not be great for comedy, but I'm fucking doing this.
Yeah.
I'm going to take in the knowledge. So later on when I go, oh, Rock on the Range, I've seen this. I opened for Alice in Chains and no one knew I was on the bill. I walked on stage and looked like a roadie. You know what I mean? I had people looking at me like, why is this guy still talking to us? You know?
So for you, you know, coming from music, what in the world, what made you want to get on that crucifix every night, you know?
Yeah.
Like what? Because it's a different thing.
You know, when I was a kid, I always wanted to do comedy.
Yeah.
I worshipped Belushi. Mm-hmm. I worshipped Saturday Night Live. I'm 51. I watched the first 3-4 seasons. I wanted to be a comedian. I was the class clown. I made people laugh at the locker. I worshipped Cheech and Chong.
Yeah.
And Pryor. And then later, really, when Kinnison and Dice hit, oh my God. And then Seinfeld, the TV show. I always wanted to be a comic. But once, there was no kids doing comedy. when I was a kid. Now there's camps, there's YouTube,
Right, yeah.
there's schools.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, there wasn't that. But the neighbors played rock. And to me, comedy and rock in the 70s were the same.
Yeah.
They were no different. They were guys with microphones, and they often toured together. So to me, it was like, I am doing comedy. It's just in rock and roll, which
Right.
some people thought probably my music was comedy.
Well, no, making the switch from
yeah.
going directly from music to comedy. Well, like, was it just festering? Was it on a slow boil?
No,
You know?
I had given up, and you can relate to this. I played music 25 years. And after I went on tour with the Wallflowers for 10 months, as that was winding down, I was solo acoustic.
Yeah.
I remember, truthfully, in my mind, I was like, this is going to be it, because I'm not going to get any more opportunities. Jacob took me on tour. That's fucking cool. But I knew that nothing was, it was at the end.
Yeah.
I had worked my ass off for 25 years, and I was the pack mule that had fucking, was done. And
Yeah.
and believe me, I would easily have kept going if I had 3 guys behind me that would keep going like you have. Easily.
Well, yeah, it's like, I'm one of the gears.
You are.
Even though I'm singing the whole time and all of that, I'm one of the gears. And so it's like when that flywheel opens up, it goes from second to third. Second gear gets a break.
Exactly.
And then second gear has to re-engage. The clutch opens up and you're in use again. So, yeah, I get it.
My life is so weird. This is why I really believe in that spiritual thing of your path to set out for you. When I got off the tour, I remember playing Genghis Khan on Fairfax.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember.
There I am,
played Genghis
solo
Khan.
acoustic.
Yeah.
There's like 8 people in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are texting. The third one's just looking around, waiting for their friend to go on. And I remember strumming down the last of the songs going, this is it. This is going to be the last gig right here. And I put guitar in the case and drove up the hill and made the decision. And it was a hard decision,
Mm-hmm.
But I was,
wait a minute. Genghis Khan, was it?
it's on Fairfax. It's
Well, no. I remember playing that. Was it Nick Vinay? Or one of the bookers over there.
I forget who it was, but I remember they used to just do these acoustic nights all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it's interesting to talk to you about this, because it's awesome to talk to you, because although Wallflowers aren't the Sabbath level, when you're out there, which I was out there, you're hoping that it works in an old school fashion of word of mouth. You're hoping as you open for Sabbath, maybe it's 20 people, maybe it's 1,000 people, maybe it's 2,000. You hope that they go away and they seek out Hollow Bones or Great Western, or that's what you're hoping. And as the Wallflowers tour was winding down, you're hoping that people grab on and you can go out and survive this thing and maybe tour on your own, which you guys are doing right now on a full headlining tour. But most of the time people walk away with, that opening band was great, but they're not like you and I, rabid fans, where they go, fuck, I got to go home and I need to find everything about that guy.
Yeah.
And that's how it was when you and I were young, listening to music. I would listen to
because everything wasn't available all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, and, maybe since, we come from a generation, I'm younger than you are, but we come from a generation where we remember what it used to be like.
Pre-internet.
Yeah, pre-internet, where if you had your collection and you were always looking for more. Always. Even if it was just one CD or one cassette or just whatever. Man, do you got anything good?
Yeah.
You go into the record store, the music store, warehouse, or just like wherever.
Yeah.
Man, what's new? What is new? And you read the magazines and everything. You're constantly looking to add to your collection. Now, people wake up and they've got like their new music for the week within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's just it.
Yep.
And it's click, click, click.
Click, click, click. Okay, next. That's what's great about comedy with me. I feel that comedy fans are like old school rock and roll fans. They're like, oh my God, I saw this guy open for such and such. Oh, fucking funny as hell, man.
Yeah.
I got a podcast. He's got a great podcast.
Yeah.
And they run down that hole. But I was just honest with myself, and I would have played rock the rest of my life if I had 3 warriors behind me, because I realize as great as solo acoustic is, there's nothing better. Like if a band came up to me and they were fucking Rival Sons level and said, hey, look, man, we're going to go out and play every night. We don't have wives. We got rid of credit card debt, and we want to fucking go out and do it. I would do it as a fucking 4th man. You know what I mean? But life gets in the way when you get to this age. But with comedy, the work ethic I have with rock and roll, I go, wait a minute, comedy, no sound checks, no band guys, no record studios, none of that. Okay, it's just me. Yeah. Now, it's me. I sink or swim. I'm going to do it because I'm in it for life, you know?
You're on your Choctaw, like the Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Exactly.
Where it's just you, the road.
That's it.
And your toil.
And I get it.
And your bike.
I'm built for this. Yeah. There's not 4 of me. If they are, you run into them like you've gotten.
Yeah.
It's really rare to find guys that are like, I'm fucking on board. I'll live like a dirtbag and not know what's going on.
Yeah.
And, with comedy, I was like, oh my God, this is it. It's really me. And I felt I should have done comedy my whole life as I do it now.
Right.
You know what I mean? I love rock and roll and I sing, but it was always a battle to be a good singer, to sing in key, to fucking stay in shape, to write songs, to write lyrics, to get band guys, to drive it. You know, that was all. With this, it's just me. It feels like so natural, you know? And it's just being honest.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
It's crazy,
We're on the same road, man. You should. Man, we would love it. Scott and I have talked about if you would open up for us sometime, man. Are you kidding me?
I'm dying to do it. I would get on the bus and just do it, even if it was eating dicks every night for the whole. I told him I would do it anytime, just to run a fucking.
Well, we just finished up the Teatro Fiasco for us, where we had Howie Pyro spinning 45s,
sick,
and a projector with like cult 50s movies.
Awesome.
And so he does that as the audience comes in. And then we had the London Souls playing for 30 minutes, a great duo out of New York.
Yeah.
And then we have Derek Brown, who is a comedian, but really he's a poet. You know, he's got a whole publishing company, and he's incredible.
That's a great fucking
is incredible.
Vibe.
And then we go on because we wanted to give people like a variety night. Like for me, when I book my shows, I like to have a poet. I've toured with poets many times because I believe in. I'm a strong believer in contrast that way.
Yeah.
That it sets up a person's palette and it gives them something to think about. Or having flamenco dancers come and perform.
I love that shit.
And then I'll play. And
like Lollapalooza was so good back in the day of different styles of music,
absolutely.
and Jim Rowe's Side Circus, and there's some fucking sword eaters, and then there's like whatever, you know. The old school hippiness of a festival is cool, of all different types of things, man. And I would do it any time with you guys, you know.
Totally.
I know you want to eat lunch.
Yeah, I got to eat lunch, but I'm going to miss my window.
I want to ask one question before we go.
What do you got?
Now, you get the Sabbath tour.
We get the Sabbath tour.
And you run in and you do the Hollow Bones record.
Uh-huh.
Looking back on it, do you think that, because to me, I was like, I thought maybe reissue Great Western with some live tracks, bonus tracks and stuff.
Well, we were going to do that. And, you know, maybe you had a question behind that.
Yeah.
You know.
My question is, do you feel like you should have waited on Hollow Bones? Because the audience is finally catching up.
No, because when it comes down to it, bands only last so long, dude.
Yeah.
And there's so many factors that go in. You know, you're sitting here with me, but I have all of those other personalities. And we have all of these other people that we employ, our road crew, and like everybody, Pete.
The machine.
Pete coming in here and taking care of me and everything. We... if you can get into the studio, get into the studio.
Right.
If you can make songs, make songs. If you can write material, write material. You're going to die. I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I want more creative output. I want more proving that I was here.
Yeah.
I want more proving that our band actually existed. So
That's awesome.
You know, so get in there, take the opportunity, go in there and do it.
That's great.
And you know, and so that also fulfilled our obligation to Earache Records.
Wow.
So now
what? I'm looking forward to that.
Good stuff. I'll tell you when we got off.
Okay, so thank you so much, and I love you, man. And it's so
love you back.
It's
Fantastic.
so I got goosebumps, man. To you and I sitting here in Columbus, Ohio, man.
Columbus, oh hickey.
And I've said it 1,000 times. Get this fucking band's records, man. I say it every fucking 4 days.
Excellent.
Thank you, dude.
Thank you.
I love it. See you
Love
guys.
you back.
Candles lit.